I'm going to show you how to paint a couple of water droplets onto a leaf. I'm going to use this fine, small chisel brush. It's a synthetic chisel, usually used for oil or acrylic painting, and it'll just be a little bit more abrasive than a sable brush. What you want to do is put a droplet of water onto the leaf so you've got something to copy, and I'm going to put one down here, and all I do is just irritate away some of the paint from that part of the petal. A couple of times should do it, just so it's nice and pale. This one's going to be dripping down off the leaf, so it's going to leave a little trail behind it. Then I'm going to put another one over here, just sitting on top. So a couple of little circles, or sort of ellipses there really. Now let that dry, and while that's drying I'm going to mix up a very dark green using indigo. Now we can use indigo for this because it's paint on paint, if you like, so we're painting onto a finished painting rather than onto white paper, so indigo is safe to use. So this is cadmium yellow pale and indigo. These are all Winsor & Newton colours. And then I'm going to add just a little touch of cadmium red deep. So the first thing to do is to get the shadow around the base of the water droplet. I'm just going to put a very small outline around the oval that I made. And obviously the intensity of this will depend on how strong the light is, and the light's very strong on this, so I'm now going to just soften around that with the tip of a damp brush. Very gently soften around it so that it gives a softer look to that shadow, and do the same to the other one. I'm going to make it a little bit finer on the top and then deeper where it hits the leaf. And I'm going to put a little bit alongside the trail that it's left. And then with the tip of the brush just soften and sweep that away till it disappears. It's very important now at this stage to let that completely dry before you go on to the next stage. So now I'm going to mix up a paler colour. Just take some of that dark mix that you've already got and add some cadmium yellow pale and a little bit of the Winsor blue green shade. And where you can see the leaf through the water droplet, we're going to just gradually add a little bit of colour. Now you only need a small dab of it and then very carefully soften it in. So most of the light is hitting on the base of the water droplet. This may vary depending on what you're seeing if you've got a real droplet in front of you. So do be careful to check that yours is the same, or if you need to put it in a different position. So I'm going to put some of this brighter colour just back onto that leaf and then soften it away. So I mix up a very, very bright acid green here with some cadmium lemon and Winsor blue green shade. I'm just going to put a little touch of that down one side. Almost like a little band of it. It's very subtle, very difficult to see unless you're up close. Just a little band of green through there, and just a hint of green above that one there where it's slid down. Just make that a little bit darker. And at this stage the dark shadow around it can be darkened again, so I'm going to add just a touch more indigo, and then very carefully, making sure your brush is nice and smooth, just come right on the edge, so inside of that softened shadow, right on the edge of the droplet, to really make it stand out. On this one we'll just do it on this side, very, very fine, just the last hair on the brush there. Then what we do is we let that dry completely. It won't take very long because it's only a small amount of paint, and you need a nice sharp pointed scalpel, and when you're happy that it's totally dry, just check it with your fingertip. Then what you do is you pick out a very small highlight. This will be at the top where the light's catching the drip, and I'm going to pick out another little light at the bottom. Just a couple of little flicks. You've got to be absolutely sure that you don't need to put any more paint on before you do this. I'm going to put one more little highlight just above that. There's two lights hitting this one. It's just a quick little flick like that with your blade. obviously if you paint over this, the paint will sink into the little damage that you've just created and you won't be able to remove it. So it has to be the very, very last thing that you do. And that's it.